Thanks everybody for coming and everybody online. And thanks to all the amazing readers so far. So I'm going to read from Worldly Girls. Is there anybody that speaks French here? I apologize in advance. So I'm going to read from my memoir. It's Saint Fear's Father's Origins at Diptych. I'm an Anglophone, that grew up in Montreal. So my French is not 100%, but there is obviously, when you live there, it's kind of like there's an English-French thing. So this is about my life growing up as a Jehovah's Witness and also as a mixed ancestry person of Chinese and European descent. And it's a little bit about, kind of my reveling of my faith, among other things. So start. It was unbearably hot and humid the summer I returned to my hometown to see Brother Andre's heart. Canonized as a saint after his death, Brother Andre was known as the Miracle Man of Montreal, a Catholic layperson who believed in Jesus' ability to heal, and who himself was known for performing thousands of miracles. I went to see him the week before my 51st birthday, and the drive without working AC felt like hell if I ever believed in one. I felt called to go to Montreal. My therapist told me that sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. And I needed to see versions of my past self, to witness the old and the new and what remained of my faith. I wanted to trace the past by visiting the places that had scared me as a child. Had I really become the type of person hoping to see Jesus in our multigrain toast? I took 283 sweaty steps up Mount Royal because the thought of taking the shuttle bus up to St. Joseph's Oratory seemed ridiculous. I marveled at the devotion of those who recited a prayer while crawling up the 99 steps marked, reserved for pilgrims who go on their knees. If the devoted could go upstairs on their knees, I could surely walk up a mountain. I hadn't planned for my trip to be so very Catholic. Being taught that other religions and their churches were part of Satan's Christendom had made me uneasy. But pursuing religion in general was predictable for a former Jehovah's Witness like me. I was curious about people's attachments to idols, even though we were taught to believe that giving veneration to any religious image was wrong, actually. Once I found a tiny Jesus, Mary, and cross hidden within a secret compartment in a used wallet I had bought at a thrift store. And I tossed the whole thing in the trash just in case it was possessed. I don't think it was. While in Montreal, I also visited St. Patrick's Basilica, the Musée des Salles de there you go, and the Historic Canadian Museum, and it's now a pharmacy. But we had the statues of the New Testaments for evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they were still guarding the outside. The museum had once been a wax museum that had an exhibit of Christians being eaten by lions. As a child, I was utterly terrified of it and begged Ma not to pass by the mutilated faithful. The convent was a place across from where I grew up. As children, my brother, sister, and I were afraid of what happened inside these places, but had no idea what that would be. We did know there was a disembodied heart, wax dummies, and mortal women in habits. My great aunt was a nun, Sister John of the Cross, and had penned some lovely letters to me, even though I was of a different faith. Honestly, what could any of these people or objects really do to me? I did know to be scared of my parents' anger, the way it ripped into our lives with little warning, the violence, the yelling, the leaving. I loved God, but his wrath, images of fire and swallowing of the wicked, and the upcoming war of Armageddon were burned into my child's brain. If these prophecies came true, I wouldn't be sailing into paradise on Ma's coattails. Being a child wasn't an excuse. I had to carry my own faithful load. Was my devotion and faith to Jehovah built on love or fear? And was there a difference? They say that baby ducklings imprint on the first things they see. In my baby pictures, my face is serious, unsure, smiling cautiously, facing the person holding the camera. Most likely my father, but it was Ma I was attached to. She often punished me for getting in trouble at school. It started in kindergarten and continued to grade 1. I couldn't lie to her. She was trying to turn me into a God-abiding, dress-wearing, perfect little girl, a follower of Jesus Christ. Getting Ma's approval was love to me. I was 2 when Ma asked for us to be removed from the Catholic baptismal registry because she no longer wanted to be considered a member of their church. I don't remember anything that had to do with the St. Patrick's Basilica where I was baptized. I didn't even know the Lord's Prayer, what a Hail Mary was, or how to make the sign of the cross. Ma didn't speak much of her past Catholic life, choosing not to look back. We were very active in our newly chosen faith. She made sure I knew Jehovah was always watching, but she didn't have to tell me. I felt it. When I was 6, Brother Andre's heart was stolen from the St. Joseph's Oratory in the middle of the night and held for $50,000 ransom. The church wouldn't pay. The heart was later recovered via an anonymous tip. It reminded me of the pickled brain held in Dr. Frankenstein's lab in the haunted house at Parc Belmont, the one that gurgled, "Help me." Before I went to see Brother Andre's heart, I took a walk in the Gardens of the Way. I came across the sculpture of Jesus at the 3rd station, where he fell for the first time, and it unexpectedly affected me. I wasn't prepared to have feelings about any of these places, and now in the garden, I felt heaviness in my body, each step I took. If I had been my old praying self, this would have been the time. But which God would I pray to? The one at my first baptism or the God of my second? I saved the reliquary of the basilica for last, and that's like where they keep kind of the relics, apparently. When I got there, it was still daylight, quiet, and there were few visitors. The gates, thick glass, and an iron grille with a few handwritten prayers tucked right into it, all separated me from the saint's heart in the jar atop a marble pedestal. When I looked at the urn, its contents were cloudy, and my reflection just stared back at me. I had seen the many scenes showcasing Brother Andre's life, his white iron frame deathbed with its pencil-thin mattress, the crutches that had been left behind by the cured faithful, his tomb and his original humble beginnings, but his heart wasn't visible to me. I was too afraid to ask the faithful pilgrims nearby if they could see it, because after coming all this way, I didn't want to be the one that couldn't. When one has not had a good father, one must create one. Friedrich Nietzsche. When Ma kicked out father, I was 15. She'd had enough of his affairs, and he'd had enough of her drinking and breakdowns. We kids honestly welcomed the quiet it brought. We heard that my father had fought to see us, but little kid sources are suspect. After he left, he would take us to Burger King, just like in those typical after-school TV shows. We went to his apartment once, a small place he shared with his friend Johnny. His clothes were lying all around the place. He gave us his phone number scribbled on a piece of paper so we could reach him. Later, we would only have the phone number of the restaurants he worked at. He would drop by to see us sometimes, but he didn't take us to his place ever again. "Don't call me daddy," he warned us when we were out in public. We wondered if he was part of a gang or if he had another upgraded family. He did. We wondered, our ability to separate fiction from reality protected us from the truth we weren't ready to see. When I was 11, I took a short hiatus from the Jehovah's Witnesses after being brought up in the truth since I was 2. To bring me back to the fold, Ma thought it would be a good idea for Tommy, my little brother, and me to study the Bible with a young family from our local Kingdom Hall. At first, our studies were a joke. We wouldn't pay attention or we'd miss our study times. Then during one of our Tuesday meetings, I finally made some important connections. I felt like I began to understand the prophecies and how they applied to the last days. It was a time of clarity for me, a first in a series that would culminate in my baptism and commitment to Jehovah God. I felt warmth and calm within, whereas before I'd been unfocused and without purpose. My beliefs and relationship with him were now steadfast, and I wanted to serve him forever. You can never go back, to that one moment when you thought you knew everything. And once my parents split up, my father didn't seem as interested in us or me. So it was easy to replace my earthly father with a different kind of father, one who promised to always be there for me. He was the Alpha and the Omega, a God without beginning or end, and he felt real enough to me. So it didn't matter if I didn't know what he looked like or even where he came from. After all, the Bible told me in Exodus, "For no man can see me and live." The Watchtower told me that God was too powerful to be viewed by human eyes, that we don't see gravity or electricity, and yet they exist. I was young, I was lost. The language gave me a sense of belonging, meaning, and community. My relationship with God was the main constant in my life that kept me whole. I had finally found a father who would never die or leave me. My father doesn't talk about himself or his family much. I often ask too many questions, and I push the limits of his patience. Should I stop, I wonder? It's taken me so long to get the courage to ask him anything. Like my father, the mirror doesn't tell me who I am or where I come from, but religion had taught me not to question. The answer would be revealed in God's due time. Faith would always have to be enough. I don't know the exact moment I started wavering from my religion as an adult. I had been an obedient member of the congregation and its doctrine, and I rarely questioned its truth. I see now that I needed the Jehovah's Witnesses, that I had nowhere else to go, that I needed to feel safe. I had planned to return. I had hoped that therapy would send me back fixed and improved. Instead, I ended up questioning my beliefs and whether Jehovah even existed. Anger at God now, deep within me, quickly turned to doubt and disbelief, and I wonder now if Ma's sudden death all those years ago was a catalyst that would eventually lead to my leaving. All I know is faith made me see, and then one day it didn't. Thank you.